Rich Freeman from Channelholic coming at you with a Channelholic hot take from DataCon 2024, which is taking place this week in Miami. Now, the last time Kaseya hosted a major event, it was in the spring, late in April. The big news coming out of that show was the launch of a solution called Kaseya 365, which was basically a very tightly integrated package of technologies that MSPs need to manage endpoints. So RMM, endpoint backup, EDR, et cetera. What was most noteworthy about it at the time was the somewhat radically disruptive price. The whole package was sold for $3.99 per endpoint per month, or as low as $1.75 per endpoint per month if you excluded the MDR component that normally came with the package. Well, what we learned today at DataCon is there are now two versions of Kaseya 365. The one that debuted in the spring is now officially known as Kaseya 365 Endpoint. But there is also now a second version of Kaseya 365, which was launched today. It is called Kaseya 365 User. It is a package of technologies MSPs need to secure users. So email backup, anti-phishing, security awareness training, dark web monitoring, and what Kaseya is calling cloud detection and response, think SaaS security. That piece of the solution is provided by technology that Kaseya has acquired along with SaaS Alerts. For folks who know, SaaS Alerts is one of the very few, surprisingly few, pure play SaaS security vendors out there right now, and in particular, one of the very few focused specifically on MSPs and their clients. Kaseya now owns that company. The SaaS Alerts technology is part of Kaseya 365 User and provided at no additional cost, basically, to people who subscribe to that service. Now, when Kaseya 365 Endpoint came out, Kaseya said they believe they are saving MSPs approximately $10 per endpoint per month. With Kaseya 365 User, they believe they are saving MSPs approximately $7 to $10 per user per month. And all of this is in the service of a larger campaign Kaseya has been talking about a lot. What they want to do is get the average margin earned by an MSP, which they say is about 10% right now, up to about 35%, which they say is about what doctors and lawyers average. Kaseya 365 Endpoint chipped away significantly at that. Kaseya 365 User is going to contribute more. If you are a regular Channelholic reader, not boasting, just saying, the first media outlet to report that there was going to be big news coming at DataCon 2024 was Channelholic. And what I was also told by CEO Fred Vacola at the time is that the news at the show this week would be the second step in a four-step process. So in the spring, Kaseya 365 Endpoint, step one, Kaseya 365 User, step two. This is me talking, not them, but I think based on the pattern they've established. In the spring at Kaseya Connect Global, we'll get step three, and we'll get the fourth and final step in this sequence at DataCon 2025. And Kaseya says, when they get to step four a year from now, they will have closed the gap between 10% average margins and 35% average margins. But here's the interesting thing, and this is something that changed a little bit since the spring. They spoke on stage, they spoke publicly about the AI and hyperautomation components of Kaseya 365 Endpoint in the spring, but they didn't really emphasize it. They were much more focused on the pricing of that solution, and they are talking much more prominently about it now. And the reason for that, I learned in an interview with Fred Vacola yesterday, is Kaseya itself has been somewhat surprised by the degree to which MSPs are embracing and telling Kaseya that they are benefiting from these AI and automation factors that are built into the platform. And based on that initial response to Kaseya 365 Endpoint, so first of all, Kaseya believes that by 2026, they will be able to automate, pretty much handle without technician assistance, about 70% of what a technician does hour to hour, day to day. But they also believe that by the end of the decade, between the four-step process that they're in the middle of right now and the AI and automation investments that they're making, they'll actually be able to get average MSP margins up from 10%, not to 35%, but to something more like 40 or 50%. There is a lot more to dive into about all of this, and I will get into all of it in detail in this Friday's Channelholic post. I'm also going to get specifically into the AI topic a little bit more. I'm going to talk about some news from data networking that I predict won't get the attention it probably deserves. All that and more coming up Friday in my new post at www.channelholic.news.